graphs and charts like this on Adobe Illustrator? Keep watching and become an expert. To start, I recommend using Google Sheets and collecting data beforehand. Here we are going to make a column graph, so you should get your categorical data and click on the column tool. After making your graph, this is where you will put your data. You can also import data by using your personal files. Either by right-clicking on the graph or using the Quick Actions menu on the right, click Graph Type. This will let us change the graph type and keep the data we have without needing to manually create a new graph and input new data. Either right-clicking on the graph or using the Quick Actions menu on the right, clicking the Graph Data button will allow us to pull up the data menu after we close it. Okay, let's move on. Still doing a column graph, we are going to input different data, but with an entirely different scenario. Here we have monthly student enrollment by grade level. Let's copy and paste it into our graph. Here we have our values, but let's switch up the orientation a bit. We want our x-axis to be displaying the months, so let's click Transpose. There, it looks a bit better, but we need to change the font size to be able to read the data easier. And here's the finished graph. Let's try moving on to a different kind of graph now. Let's use the selection tool, hold down the Option key or Alt key on the keyboard to duplicate your previous graph. When trying to access the Type menu, you should close the Data menu. Let's try other types of bar graphs. Now let's look at line graphs. For these, we need data that shows a trend or change over time. For data that has long words, I'd recommend using abbreviations so the data doesn't look overcrowded. Using the Type menu, you can edit the line to display the data points we have on the graph, or you can unclick it to hide it. This feature, Edge to Edge, allows us to view the data from the start to the end of the graph. Let's do another line graph like this and add more data. Applying what we know about transposing, let's fix this graph up. For a scatter graph, we need to put multiple groups and compare different trends and relationships. And lastly, let's make pie charts. After selecting the pie chart tool, I will copy and paste some surveyed data. Notice how the chart doesn't give the expected form of a typical pie chart. Now let's fix that by transposing. Now we have our pie chart. You can also make a comparison pie chart by altering the data input. Simply open the Graph Data menu, put the data, and label before and after. So in this instance, I can say that I've collected data from a group, then someone later reconsiders their decision. You can also alter the legend and put the data values inside of the pie chart wedges. And lastly, our final chart is the radar chart. Let's duplicate our previous chart, then use the Type menu and click Radar. As we can see, the information is difficult to read, so we should transpose the data. Now, we can see our data a little more clearly. If we go back to the Type menu, we are able to select or deselect the marked data points and alter preferences like line thickness and filled lines options. Now that we're done, I'll speedrun some useful tricks to add just a little bit of flair to your graph. To apply a 3D effect, use the Group Selection tool to select the chart, go to Effects, select a 3D effect. This will display a menu that will make your chart appear 3D. To scale graphs, make sure you exit out of data tables, then right-click Transform and click Scale. And that's all. I hope this was helpful towards making you an expert in making pie charts and graphs in Adobe Illustrator. Bye!